Hello, it's Rob. Just want to talk about interesting inks, which, well, basically shouldn't be interesting. Um, Over the last few months, or possibly years, there's been quite a move towards people using inks with particular, if you like, colour properties. I'm going to say specifically Sheening inks. Things like Robert Oster Fire and Ice will use that as a very popular ink example. At the end of the day, you write with it, and it's a blue ink. Yes, on a swatch, it can be a nice dark blue patch of ink, and then round the edges, you'll get a reddish tinge. But you know, if you write with it in a fountain pen, it's a very nice blue ink. It's not that remarkable. I know it's popular, and I know people go, "Oh, look at this amazing ink." No criticism of Robert Oster, by the way, but just it's kind of, writing experience with it isn't exactly what you might expect. It's not wonderful red and blue ink. On that note, I'd had a bit of an accident at work with one of my fountain pens burping ink all over the place the other day, and it'd be really nice if, we actually had more ink sort of swatches around for some of these inks, just to demonstrate the chromatography, colour properties of these inks. And people might go a bit sort of away from things going, oh yeah, look at this wonderful sheening ink, this shading, the sheening in this ink is absolutely wonderful, when it's just a boring ink at the end of the day. The ink I'm going to actually talk about is, it's been around for a very long time. It's a Waterman ink, and it is Waterman Harmonious Green. Nothing really exciting about it. It's a nice green, it behaves well, I've got no issues with it whatsoever. But when my fountain pen at work was burping this ink out all over the place the other day, I actually thought I'd used a different type of green ink in one of my other pens that I was carrying with me at the time, and I thought, well, that's a bit interesting. Got a bit of red shading to it. So I'll go on to that, and I shall demonstrate what happened in a moment. So this is the slight mess that was left in my notebook at work. There we go. I've written on the left hand side there Waterman Harmonious Green, which is the ink, and as you can see, a great big blob of the stuff, which I then just smeared around just to see what would happen. And a couple of other blobs which actually came out straight out of the pen and have been left unadulterated on the page. If I move over to the light source out here, there we go. Can you see the edges there? I'm going to get this in focus. There we are. We've got what I would call a red stroke purple metallic sheen to the edges of the ink where it's dried. I'll get this one in focus. There we go. Metallic sheen. There we go. Waterman. It's a sheening ink. It's not a sheening ink at all, but this is just demonstrating the properties of what happens if you blob what is quite often regarded as just a very, very basic, well behaved, well respected and well known fountain pen ink. Yes, it's a sheening ink. If you want to call it that, it's a sheening ink. So there you go, Waterman Harmonious Green. It's not something fancy. It's probably going to double the price of it now because everyone's going to go, oh, look at what you can do with this amazing Waterman ink. Well, there you go. There's the writing. It's green. Come on, focus. There we go. It's a green ink. You write with it. It's fine. It's a lovely ink to write with. You blob it down on the page and you do a great big splat, and yeah, it's a sheening ink. So interesting to see what happens. It's something that I suspect not many people have actually bothered experimenting with Waterman inks to see if they even do this, and I suspect a lot of inks actually do this. So if you really are into these, well, shall we just say metallic edges on your inks, then by all means please feel free to go ahead and do some experimentation on them. I must admit, I mean, there is quite a lot of colour in there. Does it show up in the ink when you're writing with it? No, of course it doesn't. It's always like that. It's a shading ink, it's a nice shading ink in the right pen, but yeah, you're not going to see much sheen in this. So just thought it'd be interesting to share this with you all.